Good evening, everyone. The City of Grand Haven City Council work session of October 3rd, 2022 is hereby called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Fritz,
Here.
Lowe,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
Cummins,
Here.
McNally.
Here. We have gathered in a work session this evening for further consideration of candidates for the Grand Haven City Manager position. And I think we are going to start with a discussion of recommended ways to move forward. We have at this point interviewed last week we interviewed together 5 city council candidates, and I think what we decided to do at the end of that meeting was to identify in not in rank order, but rather in probably alphabetical order, our preferred candidates individually, and then discuss them in some manner as we move forward. So I guess my question to everyone here is, do you have a sense that we still want to do it that way? I actually sort of liked what we did with the BLP candidate this weekend, and it seemed like a fairly good way to get some discussion going. So do we want to start with more discussion about whether we want a second round of interviews? Do we want to start with one candidate that each of us would find our preferred candidate and see if there's any consensus? Anybody got any views on that?
It's okay, I'll go ahead.
Sure, Kevin, go ahead.
I've got something together. First of all, I'd like to thank Frank Walsh for all the work he did representing our city in the search for a city manager. He was able to supply us with a qualified list of candidates, which we certainly appreciate. I would also like to thank all the candidates that applied and those who participated in the interview process last week. Everyone was very professional, experienced, and knowledgeable of the position. In reviewing my notes and watching the individual interviews on YouTube, I was struck by a comment made by candidate Michael Burns. He noted that in the first year you're in a learning mode, and it will take 6 to 12 months to know where you stand in the organization. I firmly believe that our city does not have 6 to 12 months. We are facing potential catastrophic financial issues such as the cleanup of Harbor Island and some $30 million in unfunded pension liability. We also need to regain stability with the Board of Light and Power, balance our own city budget, and a range of other concerns. Time is something we do not have a lot of. I believe that we have the exact person to carry this community into the future, and that person is actually Latch. I'm not alone in this thought. Numerous letters were sent to council from staff, businesses, the DDA, and citizens in strong support of Ashley. Here are some of the words they used to describe her: dedicated, attentive, smart, compassionate, caring, listens, trustworthy, strong, passionate leader, and as our former city manager stated, a rare find. We will not have to wait 1 minute for someone to acquaint themselves with our city's with our city daily duties or current issues. Ashley has already proven that she can hit the ground running. Therefore, I'm making a motion to extend an offer of employment for the position of Grand Haven City Manager to Ashley Latch, contingent on successful contract negotiations and background check. I also understand that this is only a work session, and as part of this motion, I would appreciate that it be added to the agenda for tonight's meeting. Thank you.
I'd like to support you on that, and because I feel after all these years, all our assistant city managers have left us and moved on to be great city managers in other towns. I think they come here and learn a lot, and I think Ashley has learned enormously, and she stepped up to the plate in every bit of the way that we expected her to do. Not only did she be the manager, what we wanted her to do, but she also was a clerk, and she was, you name it, whatever she wanted to do, the planner. She stepped up to every bit of it, and she knows the system really well. She knows us. She knows the city. She knows the people here, and I can't find Not that all the other candidates were bad, they were all good candidates, they were very, very good candidates that we had out there. But just as you said, that they're gonna take time, and we don't have the time. We have a lot of things on our plate, we need to be stable, we gotta be there, and I think by having Ashley there, I think we can be very stable and move forward in the right direction for us. I think she has all the ability, and I just gotta say thank you for saying all those kind words about her, because I have to agree 100%. I would support Ashley myself personally. I think she's stepped up and shown us that she can handle the job.
Karen, got anything to add?
Yeah, I'm actually, independently, I'm going to have to agree with both Councilor Fritz and Councilor McLaughlin. For over 3 months, Ashley, as interim city manager, has stepped up and, in my mind, absolutely crushed this role. Because of her incredible work ethic and dedication to this community, there really has been a seamless transition since the departure of City Manager McGinnis in June, which is saying quite a bit. As you know, he had long tenure here, and it goes without saying that Ashley has provided the stability and consistencies to staff during a period when the city lost an HR manager, planning director, the city clerk, and then ultimately the city manager position. Not only has she demonstrated that she's had the skills and capabilities to be our city manager, I think she's reminded us all of the value of that institutional knowledge. She's responsive, she's an excellent communicator, and she's already earned City Council's trust and staff trust. I think, you know, since embarking on this search for the new city manager, we've all received, you know, at least 40 written letters of support endorsing Ashley as for the role of city manager. I've also received calls from people, just, you know, in addition to those 40 written letters, personal phone calls from everyone, you know, from city residents to other community leaders, and even our own DPS chief, Jeff Hawk, all supporting Ashley in this role. Some of those who contacted me even felt that we wasted time and effort in conducting this search, but I disagree. I believe the money on Walsh and Associates was well spent because it allowed City Council to do our due diligence and reach out and search for the right candidate to make sure that we had, you know, the right candidate. And I too am really grateful for the 43 applicants, and especially the 5 finalists who were very capable and for different reasons I thought could be a fit if we did not have Ashley here. So I'm just going to say I agree with both Councilor Fritz and Councilor McLaughlin.
Ryan?
Yeah, I'd like to, you know, after giving this a lot of thought over the weekend and looking back through my notes, I did not watch every hour of the interviews over again, but I did skim through them, and I kind of came away with some, as I looked at the whole, you know, the big picture, and took everything in. I concur. I really want to thank Frank Walsh for his work. I mean, it's really just fascinating to see the interest from folks in serving our community. I mean, we received 43 applicants. I mean, that's a lot, especially in today's job market, from all sorts of different backgrounds, parts of the state, parts of the country. This is clearly a fantastic place to be and serve. I agree. I think all the candidates that were really brought forth could have brought different things to the table. Had, you know, some really great strengths and things that could help, you know, keep this community moving forward in a positive manner. But I think your point, Mike, about how we've had some great assistant city managers or assistant to the city managers under Pat McGinnis's leadership, and it shows the type of leader and manager that he was to train prior city managers to go on to be successful city managers in other communities. Ashley's led us very well during a tough transition with a lot of staff turnover, very key leadership positions. We've lost a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge, and even though Ashley hasn't been here a tremendous amount of time, she is now carrying a lot of institutional knowledge. She's up to speed on things. She has the right demeanor. She's shown great leadership. And I think the biggest thing that I saw from a lot of folks that kind of put in a reference for her is almost all of them talked about the fact that she's just a great listener. And that goes so far in any profession, but I think that's key in a city manager position. So I'm happy to support Ashley as the top candidate and making her an offer.
I'm going to make it unanimous. I've met many young career officers during my career in the Coast Guard, and I would compare Ashley favorably to all of them. I think she's highly intelligent. I think she's highly organized. I think she loves this community and is dedicated to it, and I would call her quietly competent with a strong moral center. And to me, we couldn't do better in a leadership position than find that kind of quality character and put it in to our city administration. So I think our special work session is probably over, and we'll formally introduce a motion at the meeting this evening, which will mean we'll have to amend our agenda. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody got anything further they want to say?
Could, since we have the time, maybe talk a little bit about what those contract negotiations would look like, who would be a part of that,
Good point.
how we want to handle that.
Amanda, you got
Just
any
any
advice for
particular
us?
advice,
HR?
So Frank will take the lead on that, and really go from your direction. So, I can send you the information, just the general sort of package and the wage scale that we're looking at, and from you guys, just that sort of general idea of where you want to start on that. And then it's just a conversation back and forth, and Frank takes the lead on that, handles that. If there's a question on something, he'll come back to you guys. Then it's just a matter of the paperwork, really, and then sort of talking about her transition into that role and out of her current role, and what we're going to do just internally to backfill for her current place.
Now, will that come, excuse me, will that come individually? So if we have some certain ideas, we just.
Sure,
leave them to
yeah,
you?
we can do that.
Okay.
Madam Mayor? One comment I would make is in the prior contract with the city manager, it was an evergreen employment contract.
Okay.
Best practices would suggest that we have a
Termination?
like a
term.
3-year that could be, or some amount of years
Mhm.
that gets renewed or reviewed by the council at that,
Okay.
time, and it can be renewed or renegotiated. But I leave that to the experts. I just would like to see some amount of time, not an open-ended, no limit.
Is
That makes
that
sense.
something that the rest of you support?
I do anyways, Mike, but it'd be great if we had a.
So a contract for a term of years with possible review and renewal at the end of those.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And is three the year?
I defer to Frank on whatever.
Let's have Frank figure it out, see what the common is to go
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember if it was, they're all by us anyways. Every year we can say, whatever. The contract comes up every year, we have to renew it with them.
The last
But there's-
one wasn't, it was an open evergreen, so it never expired and had to be,
It was a member if it was a whole.
there are,
list
yeah,
of-
there's financial
Have
implications.
Frank
of
take
that.
a good look at it and just see what the most of them have going on for other cities and stuff like that. I think he's
Right.
pretty knowledgeable on it. I trust his knowledge on it and to bring it back to us so we all know exactly what it is.
So we all get a look at it
Yes.
before it's off, before it's
Well, you will.
finalized?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all will.
Okay. Anything else?
I think it's simple, sweet.
I think we're adjourned. Thank you.
I know. Frank.
City of Grand Haven regular city council meeting of October 3rd, 2022 is hereby called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Fritz,
Here.
Lowe,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
Cummins,
Here?
McNally.
Here. The invocation this evening will be delivered by the Reverend Jared Kramer from St. John's Episcopal Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please stand and join us for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. O Lord, our governor, bless the leaders of our land, that we may be a people at peace among ourselves and a blessing to other nations of the earth. To the president and members of the cabinet, to governors of states, mayors of cities, and to all in administrative authority, grant wisdom and grace in the exercise of their duties. To senators and representatives and those who make our laws in states, cities, and towns, give courage, wisdom, and foresight to provide for the needs of all our people and to fulfill our obligations to our community. To judges and officers of our courts, give understanding and integrity that human rights may be safeguarded and justice served. Teach our people to rely on your strength and to accept their responsibilities to their fellow citizens, that they may elect trustworthy leaders and make wise decisions for the well-being of our society, that we may serve you faithfully in our generation and honor your holy name. And Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, we pray that you will send down upon those who hold office in this city of Grand Haven the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend. Okay, first item of business this evening is a new appointment of Martha Alexander to the Community Center Board. It's a nomination for a term expiring June 30th, 2027.
So moved.
And second.
Motion by McLaughlin, second by Fritz. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. Next item of business is approval of consent and regular agendas, and I believe that there is we're going to need a motion to amend the regular agenda. I'm going to read what I think we've discussed in the work session. A motion to amend our regular agenda to add a motion to offer Ashley Latch the position of Grand Haven City Manager, contingent on successful contract negotiations and background check, and that would be added as new business item E. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there support? Motion by Fritz, second by McLaughlin. Any discussion? So the motion to amend the agenda is, we need a roll call.
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin, Lowe,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. And then I think what we need now is a motion to approve the consent agenda and the regular agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support?
Motion by Fritz, second by Lowe. Any discussion? Would you clerk please call the roll?
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. At this time, it's the first call to the audience, one of two opportunities. Members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration but will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to may call in by dialing 616-935-3285. If it continues ringing, please remain on the line until your turn. We will take all callers this evening. Is there anyone who would like to address council?
Good evening, council members and mayor. I'm Doug Vance, 100 Washington. Before I say anything else, I'd like to commend Officer Matt Piper for service above and beyond. Thank him and the public safety, the whole public safety department for the work they do. Secondly, assuming all goes well, I'd like to be one of the first to congratulate Ashley. It's a wise and excellent decision. And thirdly, I'd like to talk about parking. Surprise, surprise. Keep getting this agenda every other Thursday or thereabouts, depending on when you folks decide the next meeting is going to be. And I keep looking, thinking, oh, maybe under new business, maybe just, no. I had an employee last week came in on a special assignment to do something that he thought would take an hour, maybe an hour and a half. After about 5 hours, he accomplished the task, left the copper post, to retrieve a ticket on his windshield when there were only 5 cars parked in the parking lot. Mayor, you live right there. You see it all of the time. There is no reason for this. You're punishing residents, you're punishing employees, and you're not doing anything to make it better for visitors to Grand Haven because there's plenty of parking now. It's just, it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. That I've been here for what, 5 months now? You know, pleading with you, begging you to do something. You can all get together and say, let's change the time of a council meeting and make a decision like that. And this would require no more time than that to accomplish. I don't get it. You're serving the city of Grand Haven? Well, that includes the residents of Grand Haven, and there are 17 residents that reside at 100 Washington, and you don't seem to care. Oh, this is the way it's always been. Well, there are a lot of things that have always been. You know, Kirby can park their trailer in a 3-hour parking spot and not get chalked or get a ticket because, oh, probably, well, they're going to eventually move it. Well, the residents at 100 Washington are eventually going to move their cars too, but now they can't park closest to where they live because of an ordinance that was decided by I don't know who, for who knows what reason, prejudiced to those residents, to the businesses on the south side of Washington. There's not a single parking lot on the north side of Washington Street that has 3-hour parking. You should be ashamed.
Good evening. Steve Miller, 1540 Penoyer Avenue. I sent members of the council late last night, so you may not even read it yet, some more information on a conversation that's been ongoing between myself and the city. And I have some more information that relates to that email that I find it easier to make a hard copy of. There's some pictures and things like that I want to supplement that email with, and I've made individual copies for every member of the council, if I may step forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, Steve. Thank you.
And I know everybody has a full agenda, so I'll leave it at that this evening, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, moving on. I'd ask the clerk, please, to read the consent agenda.
A, approve the regular and closed session council meeting minutes of September 19th, 2022. B, approve the bills memo in the amount of $12,390,754.33. C, approve a resolution proclaiming the month of October 22 as Community Planning Month in the city of Grand Haven.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
So moved?
Is there support?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll make my comment as usual.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Out of the 12 million, 11,694,994.09 is just tax collection that we have, kind of comes in and kind of goes out, so it's not a true bill for us, but we just collect it and we have to send it out to appropriate places.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? Could you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Yes?
Cummins,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. Okay, moving on to new business. 13A, would you read it for us, please, Maria?
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to authorize Prine and Newhoff, Muskegon, Michigan, to perform the necessary engineering services to determine the optimal configuration for future expansion of the NOWS WTP raw water intake capacity at a cost of $52,000 and authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the necessary documents. NOWS Executive Committee recommends approval, administration recommends approval.
I see Eric's out there, or I saw him a minute. Eric, you want to come up and tell us what's going on? I think it would be a good idea for people in the city to understand it.
I'll make a motion
That's
on
kind
that
of a-
first
Oh, yeah,
before we discuss.
hang on one second, Eric.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So what we've got, what I'm bringing forward, thank you, council, for having me tonight. What we're bringing forward is is really kind of an awareness of what we've seen over the course of the last decade, which is an increase in the demand within our Tri-Cities community for water. And we recently had a reliability study that confirmed the data that we've seen over the last number of years that led to the recommendation by the Fishbeck Engineering that we start a preliminary process of understanding exactly what we should be doing as far as the intake capacity is concerned. There are kind of it's a double pathway to why it is that we want to approach it from the perspective of getting a head start on this. So one of the things I want to reiterate, this is a proactive endeavor that we're on, but what we have learned is that with the application of a metric that engineers use, that currently right now the capacity of the intakes at 28.2 million gallons per day, what we're seeing is that during our max day or our peak demand within the summertime months in the morning hours, what we're finding is that we are right about 70% to capacity. What's important to understand about that number is that once we achieve 80% to capacity as far as the plant capacity is concerned, which is 23.25 million gallons a day, that the state will require us to go into a planning phase. So a couple things that are interesting about that is that when the engineers put their what's called it's a metric that they use that emulates the worst case scenario. Simply what it is they identify what it would be like during a time of drought. And they added a factor of 2.5 million gallons a day to our already max day demand numbers that we're currently seeing. That particular figure puts us right at an 80% to capacity for the water treatment plant as we sit currently today. So, so they're asking and they're recommending at this point that we try to be proactive and start the planning phase for really what would be considered the cart before the horse, which is to look at the intake capacity. The second issue that we currently have is something that we've discovered recently with some of the drought conditions that we experienced over the course of the last couple of years. We had extreme demands in the morning. Our peak hourly demands typically run from 6 o'clock in the morning right on through to 9 o'clock in the morning, where we see a lot of people showing up at the tap for irrigation purposes. During that timeline, we're running roughly about 13,500 gallons a minute, and we run that steady rate for roughly about 3 to 4 hours a day. With that, what we saw during these drought phases is 4 times within one of the years, one of the summers that we were pumping, where we had temperature inversions within the lake, and we saw temperatures go from your typical summertime temperatures on the lakefront, which are going to be roughly 60, 70, 75 degrees. When the inversion happened, we dropped down to 45 degrees. And there was, again, no rainfall, so people were on their normal habit as far as irrigation is concerned. And what we saw was a challenge to recharge our pump cans out at the lake. And we're estimating at this point that, that what the true demand during cold weather events is right around 20 MGD, as opposed to the design capacity, which was theoretical to begin with, which was 28 MGD. So that puts us right now in a position where it is a touch and go situation, and it's better to get started sooner than later as far as planning the next phase of what expansion might look like. So Prine and Newhoff is a company that we've worked with. They are the engineers of record when it comes to the south intake, which was installed in 2002, and then, of course, the north intake, which was installed in 1990. So sticking with that particular design, which is very important to us, they are the logical engineer that we want to go with because of their institutional knowledge of exactly how these intakes are constructed, and the success that we've had over the years with those particular intakes. So I think that's it in a nutshell.
The old saying is, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And we have to think ahead before that. And the design that we have is far much better than a lot of other communities have for their water. So I understand where you're coming from. The usage is way high. I see it all the time.
And I'd like to let the council know that it's a multifaceted approach as far as it comes to managing the supply side versus managing the demand side. We are currently working on what I would call, it's not necessarily a water conservation plan. It's a very hard concept, I think, for West Michiganders to really grapple with as far as conservation when we have that much water sitting out there in Lake Michigan. So it's about efficiency. It's about how we use water, what our relationship with water is, and simply stated, we go from 4.5 to 5 million gallons a day of what we consider to be indoor usage that we see roughly from about mid-October right on through about mid-April. And that number rises to about 16 million gallons a day is what we've seen, and that is the contribution of what outdoor irrigation is having on the system. So it will be a multifaceted approach. It's not just adding supply so that it can get consumed rapidly as well, but it's also going to be about having the community understand kind of what it looks like to maybe have a different relationship with how they're using water. So we're, again, approaching it from two angles.
Oh yeah, I always see the sprinklers running when it's raining outside. Does it really make sense to be watering your lawn when it's raining? We have to educate people. They know enough to shut things off when they don't need to. I agree with you 100%.
Yep.
Anybody got anything else they want to add?
Yeah, I mean, just thanking you for taking a multifaceted approach and trying to look at the demand side too. I mean, it's tough to think about study's obviously needed. We at some point are gonna have a requirement to plan, but be thinking that we'd be spending millions of dollars more in infrastructure so folks have more, so we have the capacity to provide water to go on lawns is just a little mind-boggling and a little quite frustrating, to be honest with you. I mean, how far out, I mean, what does the planning timeline look like? And I don't know when you're looking at rolling out some of these conservation-type educational messages go, and what this study looks at and what that timeline would be to before any sort of building would actually occur, expansion would occur, but.
Great question. I guess we'll start with the efficiency program, because that's hinged to kind of the capacity piece as well. So we're right at the starting gate right now, so we're trying to get it launched, you know, which is there's a lot of effort in just being able to do the right thing before you know, ready, set, go. And so we hope to have something in the can as far as the efficiency program is concerned, so that the timing of when we launch that makes the most sense for public consumption. For example, if we, you know, launching an efficiency program when we have a seasonally wet summer is probably not the most appropriate, because you're looking at not necessarily catching a lot of people's attention. So those are the types of thoughts that we're going in, but we want to really make sure that we've got a good piece to look at and then have it in the can ready to go for when it needs to be launched.
Oh.
The timeline as far as expansion is concerned, right now, Fishbeck is looking at all things equal based on capacity. If the factors don't come into play and there's not long extended periods of drought, the plant, it looks like, would reach full capacity by the year 2041. The projection that they have is within the next 10 years, more than likely, if we continue to see the growth and development of our regional communities, we're possibly looking at an expansion effort that may be taking place around 2030, 2031 in that timeline itself. And so, again, if you consider how it is we pull water from Lake Michigan, a lot of planning has to go into how we can be as least disruptive as we possibly can at the state park. Not a lot of real estate down there, so anytime that we're looking at trying to expand any efforts down there, we have to take into consideration what we're limited with when it comes to that part of the equation. So when we're talking about doing a feasibility study right now to expand the capacity of the intakes, we're really looking at taking that, understanding what it looks like, what comes out of that, building upon that. That's a study that doesn't necessarily go away or age. It may have to be revised at some given point in the future, but we can take that study, set it on a shelf, and so that when we're ready to actually go forward with any kind of expansion efforts, then we have that piece of it already completed and we know exactly what direction we want to run.
Thank you for explaining it in a very understandable way for us novices. And last question for you. You look like in your memo you were asking for like 75,000, but you know our motion's for like 52,000. Not sure what the difference there is, but
my bad. That was it was a typo for the 75,000. It is
okay.
a $52,000 estimate quote from Prine Newhoff. The 75 is what I set aside, not knowing exactly what the total cost was going to be in the budget.
Kudos
and so,
to you then
in
for-
my mind, that was what I was
it's
thinking.
a good way
so.
to be wrong. So thank you.
Under budget.
Yes.
That's good.
I just want to make a note, Eric, thanks very much for the explanation and actually for your proactivity in looking out for our water system. I sent him a separate note this morning, well, yesterday, I guess, regarding a clause in the contract that's a limitation of liability clause that I think I've picked it up in a couple of recent engineering design service contracts, and I didn't think it was in the city's best interest, and they're going to go back and renegotiate. So I 100% approve of the contractor and the contract amount. I'm just hoping the terms of the contract itself can be renegotiated in a way that it basically the limitation of liability clause limits the design engineer's liability to the actual cost we paid him. But as we can all imagine, if we pay for an engineering design for some major infrastructure project and turns out the design work is bad, our costs are going to be much greater than the engineering services we paid for. So I'm just trying to make sure we negotiate constructively on that front, and I think everybody's aligned. Derek and Eric are both aligned, and I think that I saw one in a previous contract. I raised it. They took it back to the designer, the engineering firm, and the engineering firm pulled it from the contract. So I'm watching for them now like a hawk. So that's just saying. But I appreciate that you're willing to go back and talk to the contractor about it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. Anything else?
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I too want to thank you for I think the memorandum, the scope of work for the, Phase 1 feasibility review, as well as the minutes from the NOW's committee meetings, because I think that really helped all of us. And so I think members of the public who are interested in understanding what you just summarized for us today should go back and look in their, review that, because that is in the agenda packet. I too want to thank you for looking at both the supply side and the demand side in terms of this multifaceted approach. And I was happy to see that in some of the minutes that you are thinking about the timing of some of that. So I don't have any questions or concerns. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve a contract with Prine and Newhoff. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. All right. Would the clerk, when she's ready, read item B?
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to award the Howard Street Water Main Replacement Project to Caminga and Road Votes of Grand Rapids, Michigan, in the not-to-exceed amount of $963,847, and authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the necessary documents. Administration recommends approval.
Derek, you got anything we need to know?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Good evening, Your Honor, fellow council. No, just that this water main is being held together with Band-Aids, and we would be replacing it tomorrow if we could. Materials supply shortages throughout the country have prevented it from replacement till at least, we anticipate next fall. Anticipation window for that material to show up on site is September. So if we can find material soon enough, we'll get it replaced, but we're on borrowed time. And I just want to thank Eric. During those failures, he's the one that found the cause, and now the cause broke it numerous times, and we're monitoring that cause, but it's very fragile. So first time in my career that I thought I might not be able to supply drinking water to a neighborhood or a couple blocks. It was that sketchy. So Eric was on the ball. Engineers got ahead of the game. We got them on board. We got a surveyed, permitted bid, and here we are now with a contractor ready to go and no materials. So K&R is a great contractor. They did the first phase of Fulton most recently. Very well known large contractor out of Grand Rapids will do us a great job.
Okay. Thank you, Derek.
What part of the budget is this coming from? Are we taking it from someplace?
Yeah, so most of this is going to come from the water fund, and we're going to itemize those quantities when we're done. But there's really going to get a whole new street, curb and gutter out of this. We're not getting new sidewalks out of it. The sidewalks are in good shape. We will replace some of them where we need to, but I'm anticipating about a third of it out of the infrastructure fund, which is really only our road dollars that we have available. And then the other 2/3 out of the water fund.
Thank you.
We got anything else? No. Thanks, Derek. Maria, would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. Moving on to item C.
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve the low bid for fiber tracer wire installation for underground fiber optic cable network from Western Telecom of Holland, Michigan in the amount of $33,205. Administration recommends approval.
Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there support?
Second.
Derek, you gonna give us a brief on this one too?
Yes, I'll step in for Mr. Van Portflea,
For Matt? Yep.
who leads our IT division here at the city. So the city's fiber network ran, I think it's in the early or late 90s. Public safety was kind of the backbone, getting us cameras through a safe harbor grant, and we built this fiber. And no shame on them. They're police officers. They're not necessarily infrastructure guys. So it came to my attention as we were extending fiber to a couple of our buildings in the last 5 years that we really didn't have the ability to trace and locate like we're required under MISTIG law to define that and protect it by marking the utility. Just one failure, which we've been like so lucky over the last 20 some years, is about $8,000 to repair on estimate. So we found this, we did an investigation last year to figure out, okay, where is it that we are underground and we don't have any tracer wire, and what would that be? Western Telecom has been a partner with the city. I've worked with them for decades in this fiber optic world. Great company. So, there are some competitors out there. They don't do as much as on the let's say small side like we are. So Western has really partnered with us. They work for the school district and the county as well. But this is to install some tracer wire so that we can locate it in the future. We're moving in the direction of training our staff, our utility staff. So when they're out doing the misdigs and they're staking the water and the sewer and the storm, they used to be able to trace our fiber. We had one close call here a couple years ago, which has really kind of set this in motion. Someone digging along harbor, and they stopped when they saw the cable and what is this? And it was our fiber, completely unmarked. So we dodged a bullet there. In fact, Eric's low service pump station is connected to that. The camera out at the beach, there's lots of other infrastructure, even our facilities. So it's protecting that infrastructure. We need to do this just because a long time ago they didn't do it. So we'll get her located and a tracer wire installed where they can. There might be some sections where we physically can't. So that's why the scope difference and the budget that we thought it would be under 25,000 we budgeted for, it came in at about 33. We might not use all those funds, so it depends on what the outcome is. But
We got anything for Derek?
No. Good.
Any discussion by council? Please call the roll.
Fritz,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes.
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to fill the board member vacancy on the Board of Light and Power with a term ending November 13th, 2023, with Kurt Noth.
Okay. Can I get a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
Support?
Is there discussion?
No, we talked about it.
I just want to say I'm very grateful to all the guys, everybody that applied for it. We had 6 applicants for it. It was, I thought it was very strong. All of them had great backgrounds, and they all had very good interest in the community itself and making sure that the BLP continues doing what they do well. So I want to say thank you to everyone that participated in it. It's very, very good.
Anything else?
Yeah, I would like to say perhaps it would be good for, do we need to talk a little bit about it was an open meeting on Saturday, but some of our discussion after the meeting?
You can discuss it if you would like.
Oh, okay. So at the end of all of the interviews on Saturday, I just want, councils sat and had a little bit of a discussion, even though we were advised that we couldn't go to a motion. We had to wait until today for the motion. But Mayor McNally asked us all to do a secret or a ballot where we wrote on who we felt was the best candidate, and we turned them into the city clerk. Those were read, and there were 2 votes for one, candidate 1, 2 votes for candidate 2, and 1, vote for the 3rd candidate. As we went around and discussed why we chose someone as our top candidate, it sort of ended up that Kurt Noth was either the first or second candidate chosen by every single council member. And so that was where we got to from a discussion, even though we needed to wait until today to actually make that nomination. I, for one, want, like Councilor Fritz, I'm so thankful for the 6 very qualified candidates who came forward, each, and I say volunteers, because each with full knowledge that the BLP is facing some challenges. And throughout those interviews, I was so impressed with the breadth and depth of expertise that these residents and community members were willing to bring to serving on as a BLP trustee. I'll be honest, any one of them could have stepped into that role and done a very good job. It was our job at City Council to try under limited time frame, as we only had the 30 days would expire next week, to choose the best candidate. And so anyway, I would just wanted to share that with the public for those who were not present at the open interviews on Saturday. Thank you, Your Honor.
Brian, got anything?
No, I think Karen covered it all. Also, echo the thanks for everyone that stepped up in really a short period of time. It was really interesting to hear everybody's kind of story and background, and we're very blessed as a community to have so many community members with such skill sets willing to step up into a really difficult and technical position. But I think Mr. how do you say his last name? I want to make sure I say it correct. Noth? Okay. I think Mr. Noth will serve the community well over the next year in filling Mr. Keefe's vacant seats, and I look forward to working on a collaborative relationship with our Board of Light and Power, and hopefully all working together more and healing things as we move forward. So thank you.
And I agree with everything that's been said, and particularly that in a very short period of time, 6 good citizens stepped forward to volunteer their services, and each brought something of value to the mix. So thank you, everyone. And
one other thing,
yep,
Mayor.
go ahead.
Something else that we discussed is that I think we were really concerned that we were going to stop people from being interested in that position. There's going to be, it's coming up for election in next year. 2 seats are coming up. We just didn't want to discourage anybody. It's really important that if people are willing to step up, that hopefully they'll be willing to step up to run too, to serve a 6-year term, because it's very important to this community, and that's something that we talked about for quite a while. Thanks.
Okay. Would the clerk please call the roll?
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. All right. I think we're moving on to reports by City Council. I'm going to start.
We have item E.
Item E.
Oh,
You got
so
one
we
more.
do.
Don't override.
Don't forget
Sorry,
that.
Ashley. All right, here we
Ashley
go.
just got up.
I had it added and I don't have it added.
I can.
Could the clerk please read item E from the amended new business agenda?
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to offer Ashley Latch the position of Grand Haven City Manager contingent on successful contract negotiations and background check.
So move.
And second.
Any discussion? I say we call the roll.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes, with great congratulations. All right, moving forward. City Council reports. Mike, you want to start?
No, you usually always start. Let
All right,
somebody else
Karen,
go.
you
Let
wanna
somebody else
start?
go ahead.
I don't have anything this
Okay,
evening. Brown.
Brian?
I'm good.
Kevin?
I'm good.
Mike?
Well,
Come on, Mike, so.
sure, I'll go. What about those Tigers, man? They're ending up on a great note, aren't they, huh?
Will you stop it?
Huh? Come on, they are. They're ending up on a good, showing their talent finally, a little late, but also I just want to say thank you to everybody that, I just said it before, but they set their applications in and came in for the interviews and that. I tell you what, it was a Saturday. I'm glad to say thank you for all of my fellow council members, everybody all showing up on a Saturday morning and making sure a point of it. And also the same thing with the city manager review we had to go through. It has been a busy week for us. I tell you, it was good, it was productive, and it was nice to see that we can work together and still, we can still argue our points on different things, but still come up with a complete answer. So I want to say thank you to my fellow council members for all that they've done this week. I've been on here a long time, and I tell you what, that's probably one of the busiest weeks that I've ever worked here. And it's still never ending. We've got a lot more to go, and hopefully we can put our heads together and keep moving forward. And Ashley, congratulations. I welcome you with full arms.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. I think the staff has worked us way too hard this week, but I think we've done some good business on behalf of the city. So I appreciate the great work the staff has done, and all the other people who've contributed in many ways to what I think has been a busy but successful week for the city. Ashley, got anything for us?
Nothing to report, just incredibly grateful for the opportunity to continue to serve you all and the residents of Grand Haven. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I think I got a second call to the audience. At this time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call in may dial 616-935-3285, and if it continues ringing, please stay on the line. We will take all callers.
Richard Clapp, 217 Grand Avenue. In listening to the NOWS, or the North Ottawa Water report, I got thinking, how could we save water in this city? There's obviously a concern there are people using water to water lawns, and I've been guilty of that. Too much, doing it too much. Well, I recently became aware of a smart device called Rachio, R-A-C-H-I-O. I purchased one, and now I connected it to the Wi-Fi at my house. It uses internet weather and determines whether or not to water the lawn. I think it's amazing, and it tells me, it logs how much water I've saved, which is great because I don't want to spend more than I have to spend on water. So I wanted to just briefly mention that to the council and anyone else that's listening. Perhaps if it comes to it, if we really need to encourage folks to use less water, maybe we could get a deal for the city and maybe residents could get these things at a discount. I think it'd be a fantastic device for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Hi, Doug Vance, 100 Washington. I'd just like to tag on to that. I was going to come up and say the same thing. A couple of years ago, I installed an Orbi system on our underground sprinkling system, and it does the same thing. I program it, but if it rains, it gets the internet weather report, and it cancels itself out. I can also control it from any place in the world, as long as there's internet access. I can turn it on, turn it off. And I agree that maybe if there's enough incentive for people to do it, and maybe, the city could buy 10,000 of them or whatever, do a survey and see who might be interested in them. You might get a special deal that you could then offer them to residents at a discounted price or whatever, have the water department train them or whatever, but it's a very simple, as you would, I think, agree, to install, and it does save water, which might help the whole consumption situation. So I just thought I'd tack that on to his comments. Thank you.
Hello, Jim Hagan, 400 Lake. I was going to just also talk about water, and with our smart meters and so forth, and knowing that we have this very large consumption during 7 to 9 a.m., can't we do something, as much as people don't like to hear it, can't we have rates that actually encourage the water usage to be spread out during the day, similar to what Consumers Energy does? Thank you.
All good ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further business, I say this meeting's adjourned.